Hi, it's Rick Jensen, client of Dan White, retirement consultant specializing in retirement income, along with Frank Edwards, having a conversation with Frank and Dan. So, Frank, when you sit down with Dan in one of your twice-a-year appointments, what do you ask him?
I want to know how my money's doing. How do I protect my money to know that I'm going to be able to retire and enjoy my retirement?
So when a client asks you something like this, Dan, what are you thinking about while you're actually working on the plan for them?
Well, what we're trying to do is really help them to meet their goals, whether it's an income need, whether it's a survivor benefit for a spouse or the rest of their family. You're trying to really match what they've told you, what they're looking for, and what they're trying to accomplish with the best vehicles that are available in the financial marketplace.
Frank, do you feel like that's what's going on with Dan?
Absolutely. I don't have time to sit there and watch the markets and whatnot. That's why I've got Dan.
Like Frank, myself, and hundreds of other people, call Dan White. Dan White & Associates, 888-690-8820. 888-690-8820.
Listen to On the Money with Dan White, Sunday mornings at 7 on WDEL.
The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates and does not necessarily reflect the views of this station or Forever Media Incorporated. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Dan White & Associates. Been a financial planner for, gosh, do I want to say coming up on 30 years now, I guess. Right, Dan?
Close to 35.
Yeah. And, of course, I guess hundreds and hundreds of happy clients here in Delaware as well as Pennsylvania. You have two offices, one in Middletown and one just over the line there, 202 in Pennsylvania. I'm also a very happy client of Dan's, and every Wednesday afternoons at 1:30 calls in with some advice, some knowledge, something he's learned, gleaned, or something that he's been reading that you don't ever want to read because it's dull, boring, and just makes you mad. And I'm glad you do that. Thanks, Dan. No, I appreciate that. So, you're always involved with what's going on in Congress. I know that you've been down there. You've talked to Congress critters about policies which are good and bad for just regular folks like ourselves. So we're looking for, just some way to have some retirement income so we don't, make all kinds of crazy mistakes and blow it all away. And now you're looking at something else that Congress is doing. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a couple things. They just came out. The House Ways and Means Committee has released a draft of proposed changes to retirement accounts, and they're adding income limits for Roth conversions, and they're eliminating a strategy known as the backdoor Roth conversion strategy. Now, these are designed to raise revenue and, at least in part, a response to recent headlines about how billionaires have these large Roth IRAs. So a couple things on the docket. There's going to be contribution limits for large IRAs. Now, this doesn't apply to the average person we meet, but if a person has an IRA, this would be an IRA, a 401k, a Roth, his total retirement accounts. If they exceed $10 million and their taxable income, single people are over $400,000 and married filing jointly over $450,000, you wouldn't be able to make any contributions to retirement accounts.
Wait a second. Because nobody knows anybody makes that much money anyway, so who cares? No, I'm kidding. What's really weird is this: if you're single earner, $400,000,
right?
Married, $450,000. It's like
$450,000 doesn't really seem fair.
Wait a second. I mean, it's not a number that I ever will expect to achieve. Would love to, but don't expect to. But it just seems to me, what if it was $100,000 if you're single and $150,000 if you're married?
Yeah.
You're right. Why? How do they come up with these ludicrous numbers?
I know. There's a couple others that really apply to the wealthy, but the last one I want to talk about really applies to everybody. But the second one, which I found really crazy, is Rmds for large IRAs. So again, if an IRA owner's combined traditional IRA, Roth, and any 401k balances exceed $10 million, at the end of a taxable year, they'd have to take an RMD the following year. Doesn't say anything about ages.
Interesting.
So you could be 40 years old.
That's true. Now, let me just say, required minimum distribution was an RMD, as people don't realize.
Right.
Yeah, the government says you must take a certain amount of money out based upon how old you are. And
72,
yeah. The mortality tables and such like that. And what if it's an inherited IRA?
It doesn't say anything about inherited IRAs, but really, I guess they're targeting, the Silicon Valley, the people that have acquired just large amounts of money. So anyway, there's no age limit on this. You got to take an RMD if you're over $10 million. The minimum distribution, again, is only required if you're above those income limits, but the RMD would be 50% of the amount by which the total balances exceed the $10 million. So think about that. If it's, let's say you have $11 million in an IRA, 45 years old, that means the following year you got to take out $500,000.
Well, I'd love to have that kind of problem. But
I know.
But looking beyond myself, I know it is. Looking beyond myself. I mean, if you've got somebody who built up, let's say that they started a car dealership, and then they acquired another car dealership, and then they built this up from scratch, and they build it up. Next thing you know, over the next 40 years or so, they've got this kind of money. And God bless them. Good for them that they've done all this work, and they've actually achieved all this for themselves. And the government is saying, we need to find another way to punish you for being successful.
Right. That's basically what they're doing. You know, they're hitting the people who've done well. Two other things, Roth conversions. You know, in 2010, if you were making over $100,000, you couldn't do a Roth conversion, and then they did away with that, so anybody could do a conversion. But again, the new proposed laws are saying, again, if you're over the 400 for single and over 450 for joint, you can't do a Roth conversion. However, they're saying that proposal would not be effective until 2032. But the one that affects everybody, and this is kind of a neat strategy, so the limits for taking deductible contributions, so if you want to put money in an IRA and you're covered by a company plan, if you're single and you're over, let me look at my notes here, 76,000, or you're married filing jointly over 125,000. So there's a lot of people that fall in there.
Yeah.
You could do a non-deductible and after-tax contribution to an IRA and then convert it to a Roth. And under the new proposal, that would prohibit any after-tax IRA and plan contributions from being converted to a Roth regardless of income level. So this eliminates what we call the backdoor Roth IRA conversion, which I know a lot of people, we even tell some of our clients to do that. And this would get rid of the backdoor Roth conversion. So Congress is really kind of, you know, digging in the seat cushions of the couch, you know, to see where they can find quarters and nickels and dollars, and they're going after the retirement. You know, this is only, hopefully this isn't the tip of the iceberg, and they're saying, oh, this is for large people, but
no. It always affects the middle class. At some point, it always affects you and me and the middle class and regular folks as well. It always does. So this is just a start on that. This is interesting. I wonder why they're eliminating this backdoor conversion, because there are people who do it now with low interest rates. You pay taxes, and you will not only taxes, but you can also pay a fee if you're too young to do this, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people are taking advantage of that, and again, if this passes, and again, it's not law yet, but it's still got to be passed, but this is closing some of these loopholes that people are taking advantage of.
Would it make sense for somebody to do this now in a low interest rate environment before the law passes?
Well, not only low interest rate, but a low tax environment. So think about that. If even somebody was thinking about doing a Roth conversion, but now because of these tax law changes, their income is too high to even consider a Roth conversion. They might do it just to say, hey, they might get rid of this.
Well, yeah, obviously the tax situation is taxes are going to go up. I mean, we know taxes for the middle class and everybody else are going to go up. Yeah, but if you take the tax hit now and maybe a penalty if you're under what age?
Well, no, to do a conversion, there's no penalty. You can do a conversion at any age,
Okay, I thought there was a penalty if you moved it out of a traditional IRA, even for a conversion.
No.
That's cool. So no penalty, but you pay taxes, but you got to figure that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you're older. And I bring up the interest rates because a lot of people right now say, okay, I'm retiring, and I want to invest maybe in Coca-Cola because it's got a 3% yield, and they look like they're pretty stable. Plus, I want to do maybe like the insured contracts that are paying interest, but you're guaranteed you're never going to lose your money. That's that sort of thing. And you look at the interest rates right now, and you wonder, is that a good move to do when you're heading towards retirement and you figure you're not going to be taking as much risk in the market as you did when you were younger.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Rick, and I've been beating this drum for a while. Is tax rates are on sale. I mean, we know they got to go up. The country's very far in debt, going into debt further every minute we speak. So if you can take advantage of paying the tax at today's rates, because we know in the future they're probably going to be higher, then I think it's something people got to look at. This just kind of fuels the fire, because if they're going to take this away, it's something people are going to look at doing before they take it away.
Yeah. And if you're listening, you got to make up your own decision, make up your own mind as to which way to go. But always do so with a professional like Dan White. You can find Dan online, Dan White and Associates. You can just Google him. You can give him a call at 888-690-8820. Office in Middletown, as well as right there, Chad's Ford as well. You host On the Money Sundays, 7 a.m. What's on the show this weekend?
This weekend's a pretty interesting show. We really just call it Now is Not the Time to Be Aggressive. I mean, obviously, earlier this week we saw a situation over in China with some of their mortgage and real estate situation, and there's thoughts about contagion, going into the U.S. But I mean, markets are at an all-time high. Valuations are at an all-time high. So, we walked through a couple different scenarios about how your portfolio may actually be better if you dial back the risk a little bit. So now is really not the time to be aggressive.
All right, get a cup.
If you're near retirement.
Get a cup of coffee. Go get a donut. Why not? You deserve it. 7 a.m. Dan White On the Money on Sunday mornings. Dan, thanks for the call. Go Phils.
All right. Yeah, let's hope we get another win tonight.
Be nice. All right, my friend. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.